All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the roundtable discussion called Letting Your Light Shine, Moving Past Imposter Syndrome and Stepping into Your Power. So, my name is Andrea Hunt, and I'm the founder of Living Deliberately Today, Personal Empowerment for a Better Life. And I'm here based in Munich. And I help women break free from their comfort zone so that they can dream bigger and get the life that they know they deserve. So the reason that I thought that imposter syndrome would be a good topic for a roundtable discussion is I do all sorts of workshops on confidence, negative self-talk, and I noticed how many people have imposter syndrome, but they don't think that anyone else does. They think that everyone else is like fully confident, got it all figured out, and that they're the only ones that might have challenges in certain areas or be struggling. So I decided to look it up, and apparently 70% of people have imposter syndrome in some area, and especially 75% of female executives have it. And then the more shocking statistic was 94% of people don't tell anybody they have it. And even when I saw interviews with Shakira and Oprah, which I think everybody can agree, those are two extremely successful women who have, achieved so much that they have it. So it's a thing. And I want to talk about it. And so I want to ask, you all some questions so we can share our experiences and talk about, different areas of our life where that might have been a challenge for us. And then most importantly, what do we do about it? So that we can talk about how do you manage it? How do you overcome it? And then I'm going to show you at the end how I manage it, and how I've been doing it for years, and also how I teach my clients how to manage it. So first of all, for those of you who might not be, out there, and so excuse me, for those of you guys out there who might not know what imposter syndrome means, the loose definition is it's doubting your abilities and feeling like a fraud. It might cause you to have feelings of self-doubt, dwell on your mistakes, maybe compare yourself to other people, or never feel like what you do is good enough. And then it might make you feel that even if you achieve your goals, maybe you don't deserve them. Or maybe people are going to find out that you really don't know what you're doing anyway. And so for me personally, and then I'm going to ask all of you to tell me in just a moment, imposter syndrome and confidence issues are something that I've always managed in different areas of life. There were some areas of life, but I really felt like I knew what I was doing. And like many people, I feel comfortable doing things that I'm used to. And it was always when it was something new that I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to step outside of my comfort zone. And I would be worried that couldn't handle it. Maybe I can't handle it. Maybe they're going to find out I can't handle it. Maybe they're going to realize that I don't know what I'm doing. And so like one of the best examples that I can give you of this, when I was living in Beijing, China, I do have a degree in journalism. I wanted to work for the Chinese radio. That was one of my dreams. So I applied a bunch of times. The guy finally gave me an interview, and I convinced this guy to give me a job at the radio. Except for the problem was I didn't have any radio experience. So I was there completely, winging it. And I was so terrified that, oh God, everybody is going to figure out that I don't know what I'm doing. But in fact, over time, that was one of the best jobs that I had, that I got really good at. I even won an award. And so if we just push ourselves out there and keep believing in ourselves, and do it anyway, we can actually achieve amazing things. And one of my favorite quotes that illustrates this, and this is what I always have reminded myself, is there are people less qualified than you doing the things you want to do simply because they decided to believe in themselves. And so I always think that is such a good thing because, we don't do anything unless we try. So I want to ask you ladies to please briefly introduce yourself and also tell me, when it comes to imposter syndrome, what does that mean to you as a professional woman? And, what role has it played in your life? And why is it important that we have these kind of discussions? So I think I'll go in order of the questions. So let's start with CJ. If you could introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm a women's empowerment mentor, international best-selling author, speaker, and founder of Queen Body. And I help women uncover their limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging patterns so that they can get the core of where those beliefs came from, anchor in new beliefs, and then give themselves permission to have the self-confidence to step into the best version of themselves. And for me, I think what it means to me is, not feeling like you're good enough, no matter what you've accomplished in your life, up just feeling like, oh, I'm really not there. I'm not as good as so-and-so. And it's a lot of comparison. And for me personally, stepping into the idea of gratitude for everything that I have accomplished in my life has really helped me to imposter syndrome, because we don't really, be in gratitude for what we have accomplished, and really will always be in that reverberating, factor, and not be the best that we can be, because we'll always be in a space where we don't think that we're capable.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And CJ, maybe just check your mic briefly, quickly. So thank you, CJ, for your introduction. And so let's go to Ashley.
I was muted. Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley. I'm a mindset coach, best-selling author, and speaker. Go from overwhelmed to thriving. I help entrepreneurs break through their limiting beliefs so that way they can reach their next level of success in their business and life. So to me, imposter syndrome, I feel it's like we can hold ourselves back in a little box. We know that we want so much more in our life, to accomplish so much, have these great big dreams, and we just freeze, right? We are scared that people can judge us. We are scared that fear of failure, fear of success. And for me too, a great way to overcome this, that was part of the question, right? I'm not going over. For me, what I like to do is, because our brain likes to trick us. And I look at past accomplishments of things that I've accomplished. So if there's something that I'm going through in my life right now, whether it's in my life or my business, I look at past experiences. I'm like, look how easy that was. Look how great that went. So it's like showing proof evidence. So
Absolutely. Okay. And the third person, just for the brief introduction. And remember asking yourself, when it comes to imposter syndrome, what does it mean to you as a professional woman, and how has it played a role in your life? And why is it important that we talk about it? So let's go to Yana.
Hi, ladies. So good to be here, and welcome to everyone that's tuning in. My name is Yana Yaneva. I'm a psychologist, organizational and behavioral, and very excited to announce that I've become a chairwoman of the British Psychological Society in Scotland. And I own a subscription box, psychological subscription box for women. And I work with individuals as well as organizations to basically remove them from the uncomfortable situations or the truth they don't want to tell themselves, and just become a better version, no matter at work or in life. For me, imposter syndrome, and I appreciate I have slightly different perspective here, but I think it's very wrongly understood. People usually blame themselves and feel guilty, as you say, Andrea and CJ and Ashley. But for me, imposter syndrome is pretty much the most natural thing in the world. Every time you move to a new environment, new position, new skill, new role, it's called evolution. And it's quite normal that you're going to actually feel a bit uncomfortable. And I think we just decided at some point we're going to call imposter syndrome a bad thing, and we're going to relate it with all the negativity and unhealthy feelings. And it just stayed that way. But there is actually quite a lot more to imposter syndrome. And it's not just a word made up in the 1970s from two psychologists. I blame them. It's way more deeper than that, and it's very individual as well. It's not just one label for all the people in the world. So yeah, it's a slightly different perspective. I think it's a good thing.
I like that you brought that up, actually, because yeah, it is something that, it should be more normalized, because given that in a new situation that we all kind of feel that way. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. That is a really good point. All right. So let's go to Andrea. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Andrea Hunt. I am a two-time international best-selling author, nurse, holistic practitioner, leaky gut expert, and human body specialist. And I help women lose weight so they can feel sexy, confident, and energized in their bodies. So for me, it's uncomfortability Like I strongly agree with what Yana says. Because I feel it anytime I start something new. So for me, it's newness. When something's new and I don't feel 100% confident in that skill, that's when that comes out. So that's what it is for me, uncomfortability and newness.
Absolutely. And I'm excited to hear how everybody manages their their imposter syndrome. And then last but certainly not least, Elisa, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. My name is Elisa Fucci, and I'm a relationship life coach and breathwork facilitator. Through breathwork and life coaching, I help women entrepreneurs be able to build their empire without self-sabotaging their personal relationships. For me, imposter syndrome, and I love that Yana said this because I'm all about embracing the negative part of life, because it's part of life. We can't have the positive without the negative. We can't experience all this emotions with the good part of life without the positive. But for me, imposter syndrome didn't come up until I became an entrepreneur. Actually, a little bit before that, when I started even questioning that I could be more than just a mom, because I was like, oh, I got being a mom good. Like, I got this job. I got this. Like, and the moment I started stepping into this other role outside of being a mom, oh my gosh, like it was drama in my head. And what helped me get out of that, which for me, it looks like searching for perfectionism, the unrealistic perfectionism, and not meeting those unrealistic expectations. That's what it looks like to me. I mean, I've had different versions because, again, as we step into these new roles, the imposter syndrome changes, and we get different things that come up. For me, the beginning was that it was like searching that perfectionism. And I think it's so important because, just like the title of this roundtable, if we sit in that imposter syndrome for too long, it's okay to sit in it and process it. But if we sit in that for too long, we can't let let our light shine through, and we can't really step into this new person, like kind of shed that old skin, like the snake or like any reptile. We can't shed that and go in and be this new person until we allow ourselves to go through those emotions. So I think it's important to talk about it, so then we can be who we're born to be.
Absolutely. Because also, I mean, there's nothing worse than knowing that you are capable of more, but then keeping yourself stuck because you feel like, okay, maybe I couldn't do it and maybe I can't handle it and all that. So it's definitely like, but I like the way that you worded that. Okay, so let's get to the first question. And we're going to hear from CJ here. So just make sure that your mic is all good. So CJ, when it comes to the fear of stepping outside of your comfort zone, when it comes either to your own story or maybe some of your clients, can you tell us about a time where you were scared to get outside of your comfort zone because of imposter syndrome, and how did you handle it, and how do you encourage other people to manage it?
Okay, for me, it was an idea of I'd always been an employee, and I didn't want to be that my whole entire life. I always was just a wife, just a mom, just an employee, and I had everybody and their brother. Can't be anything other than because you're not meant for that. You know, I came from the wrong side of the tracks, or I came or whatever growing up. Everybody told me that I wasn't capable of being something different. And the defining moment was really narcissistic, and he owned the business, and he told me, you will never amount to like,
Sorry,
forget that.
Can you repeat your last sentence? You're cutting out pretty badly. Can you maybe repeat that? Because I feel like that was a really good sentence also.
Okay, I apologize. Coming in and out. I had a storm earlier, so I apologize for that. The defining moment for me, he told me that I couldn't own my own business. I couldn't do anything like I was a woman. And I was like, okay, that's just not right. There's something wrong with that. And so I started a cafe, and I instantly dove into it. The minute I opened the doors, I was like, oh, what did I do? I've never owned a business. I've never, worked for other people, and I've done payroll and I've done all the things, but I don't know that I can do it for myself. A hard time trying to figure out, can I really do this? Am I capable of this? And this is, again, going back to all the times in my life that I had accomplished something that somebody told me through those goals, and I met those goals and I went through to the other side. And it was so important, kind of reflect back on what I had accomplished up to this point in my life, and that I am just continuing to show every single day, telling yourself how important you are, how capable you are, accomplishing
I'm
things.
sorry,
And people's
CJ, you're
opinion
cutting
don't
out
matter.
really badly. I don't know if it's just me, but it's really like I can't hear the whole sentence, unfortunately. Is there like another like internet channel or something like that you can try?
I can't. Would you like me to just jump off and then you guys can fit?
No, I think maybe maybe can you repeat that last part again?
Jump off and you guys start over.
Listen, things happen. This is what we
Don't
do.
worry,
Let's
and
just
I
roll with
just
it.
think that it's important for women to understand that you can't sit and wallow in, the things that you've been told as a kid growing up, people's opinions. You really need to take stock and reflect on everything that you've accomplished in your life. And you truly tell yourself that you can do something. You can, as long as you continue. Can stop you. The only way that you can't be successful and be whatever you want to be is if you choose forward towards the thing that you're working for.
Mm-hmm. If I understand, just to recap, you're saying that like it's really important not to listen to those people who are maybe the naysayers and kind of tell you critical things or something like that, because if you listen to them, you'll never be able to really go after your goals and reach your purpose. And it's important as women that we go ahead and, even if we don't have necessarily the support, that we go ahead and do it anyway, if I understood correctly. Okay. All right. Thank you, CJ. Awesome. Okay. So Ashley, all right. So the second question, so this one is about, tell me a time where you played it safe, even though you thought you were worthy of more. And can you tell us in your own words about maybe some stories, like what are the biggest ways that you see women, especially, playing it safe? And maybe a time that you did, and then how did you handle it? How do you handle it now? And how do you help your clients to overcome playing it safe so they can do what they want?
Yeah, so definitely my experience was with my business when I was starting it. I was doing the little things. I felt like I was completing my task, feeling all bold and everything, but really I wasn't stretching myself. I was definitely playing it safe, staying in my little box. One thing that I noticed with that, I wasn't really shining my light. Like I was really nervous. And I see that with a lot of women too. They compare themselves to other coaches or entrepreneurs that have 300K followers. And here they have 100 followers, thinking that, they're not going to say the right thing, really holding themselves back from sharing their message, their talents that they have to helping other women. So one thing that has helped me with that was I told myself, what is one action step I can take every single day that is completely different from what I'm even doing now? So it kind of like stretches me, puts me out there. Because a lot of times too, when I was even out on social media, you have the Debbie Downers, or what's that other name phrase? I can't remember. I forget now, but they'll say something and then you just get so nervous, or you start questioning yourself, or you start Googling, like, am I saying trying to look for the right answer, and you really limit yourself, right? So now I still have that sometimes, but I really try to step into that higher version of myself, and knowing that I know the answers, I can help someone. And that's what I try to teach my clients too, is working through those fears. And just like how Yana was saying, and even Elisa, it's not a bad thing that you're experiencing these types of emotions. Because I always say these emotions that you're experiencing, before they're probably working, you are doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, but it's actually pushing you to get out of that comfort zone, get out there and try something different to really stretch yourself. So I always like to go through their fears, their limiting beliefs, and actually even give them an action step as well. What is one thing that you can be doing different that will bring you closer to where you want to go? That kind of stretches them.
I love that, because sometimes just doing one thing differently is so powerful, because sometimes when we try to put on too many things, it's like, okay, do I start here? Do I start here? But just one thing differently is manageable, and your brain just kind of learns, okay, I'm just trying this one thing different, see where it gets me. I love that. Thank you so much, Ashley. All right, Yana. So we're going to ask about, so I want to know about the fear of being judged or criticized. So was there a time in your life that you can talk about where your imposter syndrome maybe kept you afraid that you would be judged or criticized, and how did you overcome it? And this could also do with your clients as well. And how do you manage it?
Judged and criticized every day. In my career, in my family, in my friendship circle. I think there was probably one moment that I can talk about where it kind of really hit me, the whole idea that I might be judged and criticized. And this was in regards to my accent. And I was in a big room of very, very proper English spoken people. And then there was me. And I remember there was one person who was saying that I have a very specific R, the way that I'm pronouncing words. And I felt like that's not like, it's attacking me and my personality. And, this is how I speak. How am I supposed to talk? And I started thinking about, and I started reflecting, and this is probably when I started digging deeper into those fears and thoughts, because literally that person didn't say anything but your R is different from everyone else. But in my head, that sounded like a big attack, like I'm doing something wrong. So you see, the problem was actually me. It wasn't him.
Yeah.
So ever since that moment, I started thinking about not imposter syndrome as a word specifically, but why was I feeling like this? Why do I think that my accent will bother other people? Why is it bothering me, basically, at some point or somehow? And then I started reminding myself that every time I'm outside of my comfort zone, I'm going to call that evolution. I'm evolving from one state to another, from one skill to another, and from one relationship to another. And I stopped calling it fear or imposter syndrome or things like this. I became so aware that I'm evolving from one state to another that I started enjoying actually those feelings and moments. And this is how pretty much I work with my clients and my organizations. Part of any type of therapy in psychology is, digging deeper and calling the things the way that they are. And for me, calling everything imposter syndrome is a big no-no. Just because you feel threatened by a colleague, just say I feel threatened by a colleague because they are doing the last few months better than I am, because I feel a bit, tired. Exactly. And that's not exactly an imposter syndrome. That's just an effect from a specific situation. And you're saying, this is how I feel because of this. And the moment is gone. But in my practice, I often come to the point where actually people feel relieved and it's kind of a comforting when they decide they have an imposter syndrome. It's like, oh, I see. So I'm sick, or there is mentally something wrong with me. And they feel that relief, nothing I can do. It's not me. I'm just sick. And I'm like, no, it's you. You're not sick and there's nothing wrong. So one of the things that I do with those people is just teaching them, speak your mind properly. Don't label massively every single thing that you read in Google or you heard somewhere. You don't have to be like everyone else all the time. You're quite unique. There are thousands of trees and animals in the world that exist perfectly fine. Why does everybody have to be the same and do the same and think the same? So it's a very good starting point to shift the perspective. It's not a bad thing. It's not unhealthy. It's evolution. and then use that evolution in regards to why am I annoyed with my accent? Well, because I sound so different from the Western world. That's it. But I can't do much about it. So I started actually enjoying my accent because it's mine. And it makes me different from everyone else. So am I afraid of being judged and criticized? Every single day. But do I remind myself that this is happening only because I'm evolving every single day?
Mm.
And just wanted to say that CJ at the moment is kind of a pure example about, stepping outside of your comfort zone. She just had a storm. She's probably, who knows what kind of a mess it's outside after the storm. And she's sitting here talking about how to be strong, empowered, secure, believe, and just, hope for the better tomorrow.
Yeah. And thank you for showing up despite like a storm and everything like
Yeah.
that. CJ.
I love it.
Unstoppable woman.
I just think it's funny that you mentioned that, because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking in my head, I'm going, okay, everybody who's going to watch this is going to judge the fact that my internet was coming in and out. And I was like, oh, perfect. So I just, yeah, it's a matter of deciding within ourselves to not allow the outside, we're going to go forward and forge through whatever it is and overcome whatever the situation is. And that's what makes us who we are. And that's what makes us strong, powerful women.
Exactly. And you showed up and you have a lot of value to share as well. So thank you for making the huge effort despite the storm to come anyway.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to say on that was really powerful. I really liked what you say, because I think somewhat much of it is also getting that self-awareness to the point where you kind of ask yourself, okay, did somebody really actually say something crappy to me, or is it actually just because this is a part of myself that I need to maybe look at, because maybe nobody tried to say anything bad or whatever. And I think that's a good place to start. And I really liked the idea of like that we're kind of a work in progress, and we can be a lot more forgiving of ourselves and what's going on if we always acknowledge that we're kind of in transition. We're always evolving. I think evolving is the word that you used. I really like that.
Yeah, ever since that situation, every time when someone was telling me, oh, you have such an interesting accent, it's a little bit, different and annoying the way you say are. And I'm like, I used to be like this. You'll get used to it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. Because especially
done that.
Sorry.
No,
When you're working in another language that's not your own, I mean, I can totally relate. I mean, I live in Germany and my German is fine, but it's definitely not the language that I feel super confident in. And it really does change the personality that I'm able to convey, like as a confident person in German and in English versus like Spanish or something like that. It's a completely different story. I'm still working on the German, but
it's a difficult language.
Thanks for sharing that. All right. So Andrea, let's hear from you. So I wanted to ask you about, so what is there? Okay, so I want to talk about the fear of putting yourself out there and feeling exposed, as this is a very common one for women in business. So when's a time where you were afraid to do something that towards your success, because maybe you were afraid of what others would think about you or that they would criticize? And what did you do to overcome it? And then how do you help your clients manage that better?
I don't know if it was just fear of exposure. I think what everybody here had a little piece of me in their story, like CJ saying, like just accepting yourself and and letting go of those past. We have people that tell us we can't and stuff like that. I've always thought outside the box. I've always been defined by nature. You say front, I say back. So I've always been a tester. But coming online, I was raised, what happens in this house stays in this house. So I've always been such a personal person. And at my job, I'm free to be who I am as a nurse because I have to be that. That's so much a part of my job, that empathy, that compassion that I possess, but I'm not used to sharing that openly with the public, who I am, what I do. And I felt very raw, very exposed, because you can't be online and not make those real connections and share who you are. So it was something I've never done in my life, share my story or who I am or what's important to me, So that was a big issue. And then I had this whole camera fear and just talking in public. So so I just did it anyway. I was telling you girls earlier, I started showing up interviewing other people because it wasn't about me then. We could ask them and stuff. So it was my way of getting used to talking publicly and not worrying about the cameras, It was rough. I mean, the first time I did a live, I mean, I think I did it 100 times before I actually posted it, and then I took it down. Just a hot mess. So, oh my God, I look like a moron. I felt like Freddy Krueger on steroids. It's crazy. So but I just felt like what I wanted to say. I mean, I'm helping. The other part of it is that I help with weight loss. There's so many people out there helping with weight loss. But 75% of the people that are sharing what they're sharing is incorrect information. So I felt a moral obligation to show up, and that's what keeps me showing up. I love what I do. The passion is big, but we all have people that tell us we're not good enough, and I didn't have a lot of support. Everybody said, in your 50s, are you real? Are you real? And that just gives me more drive to prove them wrong. I am that person that you can't do it. Oh yeah, watch me. So that was kind of the stick in my craw that said, watch me now. I'm going to show up every night. So, and then I just made myself do it. I think you just have to do it and be consistent in it, because when you take those breaks, when you start to feel that insecurity or it shows up, I'm not insecure about what I'm talking about. I mean, I've been doing this forever. It's just talking publicly. I had really bad lisp as a kid. I used to say Pischetti and Jerdy. And so sometimes my tongue gets in the way of what I'm trying to say. So I'm more cognizant of it than they are. So I always look like I'm looking for my thoughts somewhere up there. But you really have to do it. And I think for my clients, I have to really teach them to just show up. That's the biggest part of it, because a lot of people are telling them they can't do it too, especially where weight loss is, they tell them they can't do it or they're not supportive, and it helps them lose motivation because they don't have anybody in their corner. So you have to be that extra cheerleader because they need that support and that guidance. And you have to give them really small, manageable tasks, like Ashley was saying, because if it's so overwhelming, they're not going to do it. So I knew that, my first thing was, okay, let me get used to the camera. Then I was going to get used to speaking. And, so you do need those small, manageable tasks because when it's overwhelming, you're going to quit. You're going to say, this isn't worth it. This isn't too much. And I just can't, and as women, we put so much on our plate that really doesn't belong to us every day, that just starting something new is going to be overwhelming. So we have to back up and remember why this is important to us. Why is a big thing. I ask my clients all the time, why is this important to you? And if they say, well, I got to get into a dress for, something that's coming up, then I know it's really not that important. And the chances are they're not going to stick to it. You know what I mean? But if they say that, I want to be there for my kids in 5 years, that's a why they might stick to. Why. That's a why. So it's got to be important to you. And this was on that 10 scale for me. I needed to do it. So finding your why, I guess.
That's a really good one. I like that. It's very powerful in terms of knowing your motivation, not just doing it because you're supposed to or because somebody else is or somebody else wants you to, but what is your motivation? Well, thank you so much, Andrea. All right, Elisa. So you're at the number 5. So can you tell me a time where your perfectionism maybe kept you from doing something? This is a very good topic, by the way, because a lot of people have perfectionism. Where it made you feel that you didn't do something well enough, or it wasn't good enough, or you felt that no matter how hard you were trying, it just wasn't enough, despite, whatever achievements that you have. And then how did you manage or overcome this? And then what advice do you have for your clients and who maybe are struggling with perfectionism? Because this is such a common one. And of course, it's also one thing that can lead to burnout as well. So
Yes, exactly. And I've been there. I've been there, done that. For me, I remember I wanted to start a podcast. The moment I knew what life coaching did to my marriage, the moment it saved my marriage, where therapy and marriage counseling couldn't, I was like, I know I need to be a coach, and I know I want to have a podcast. I had no idea how I was going to do this. I didn't know how to do anything on the computer side. And so for me, it was like, okay, things need to be perfect. So then I can be a coach. So then I can have my own podcast. I had a list of what perfect looked like. So that would be the first thing I would recommend. And I recommend my clients, or as you're listening, what does perfect look like to you? Because unless you write it down, it's just a thought. It's in your head. Once you get it out and you're like, oh, that is so unrealistic. That's like unattainable. What the heck? Like it, but in your head, everything in your head sounds real. Once it's out, you can start questioning it. So what does perfectionism look like? And where did it come from? For me, I was like, wait, perfectionism came from my dad. Like my dad would make us sweep the floor until he thought it was perfect. If it wasn't perfect, he would make us do it over and over and over again. So in my head, perfectionism came from my dad. It was like, you need to do it until someone's like a definition of perfectionism is met. When that's met, then you can be good enough to do this or to have that. That was my idea of perfectionism. So in my head, I had all these things that I had listed to have this podcast. I had to have a room. I had to have the right mic. I had to have the right equipment, the right image, the right photography. I had a list of things that to me meant this was perfect. I am ready. I need to be a coach. I need to have spoken to all these people. I need to have a list. So when I looked at the list and how long it was, I was like, no wonder I'm not getting it done. No wonder I'm procrastinating. And it took me months and months for me to want to do it, because until I decided to see what perfectionism was, where it came from, and decided to let go of that thought, decided to let go of that belief, because most of us are borrowing beliefs from other people. I was borrowing a belief from my dad, and I'm like, I'm done. I don't believe that anymore. And let that go. And for me, it became all about taking messy action and believing that what I have today is good enough to achieve whatever I need to achieve today. That's it. Today, I have enough to do what's on my list. Tomorrow, I will have more information because I will be a little bit wiser. I will have a little more experience. But today, I have just enough. That was another thought that I had to start believing. What do I have today? Okay, I have a mic. I have a place. Where can I do it? Okay, I have it in my room, and I'll do it in my walk-in closet. That's where I did it. Like, it was just finding, like, learning that I have enough today. If this is a desire that I have in my heart, it means I know exactly what to do. All your answers are inside you. You have all the tools inside you. And I was like, okay, then how can I make it happen with what I have today? With the knowledge, with the equipment, the time, and the space. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then take messy action, because messy action is better than no action. The worst thing about perfectionism, that it leads into procrastination, and then we feel stuck, and then we don't progress. We're not moving forward. So messy action is the answer. Always look for, I should do that now. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. I don't know how, but I feel like I need to do it. So I'm doing it. And then know that you can always improve. There's always room for improvement, because that's life. Really, that's why we're here, to improve. It's a never-ending progress. So know that tomorrow you're going to do better. If I listen to my podcast, actually, I judged myself so harshly that first podcast when I hit like submit and it was posted it to the world. It was, I had like a near panic attack, but I was like, now I listened to it the other day and I was like, that was amazing. Oh, wow. And to think I judged myself so harshly at that moment. And I was like having all these expectations and all these thoughts about myself. And I just re-listened to it. And I was like, I'm so good. And that goes to my next thing. Getting out of a perfectionism is learning to celebrate your small wins. That at 38, I am just learning to celebrate small wins. That gets you out of the perfectionism. Celebrate every little win. And the best way to do it is not by going out and spending money or because that keeps you always wanting outside validation. Do it by finding, like, for me, it's like looking at myself in the mirror and saying everything I'm grateful for, everything I become, everything I achieved that day. It's like being vulnerable with myself. That for me is how I celebrate myself. It's easy to go and buy yourself something. Yeah, that feels good, but that's not like in the long term, like how you want to celebrate yourself. So for me, it's like really noticing how you got here today, how you made it through the day, how you experienced all your emotions, and yet you're still alive. That for me, those are the things that I do to overcome perfectionism and what I teach my clients. And I think the best one for me is celebrating because we don't do it as much as women. So
absolutely. I love that because the problem comes up so many times that like, okay, it's not 100% ready. I don't feel 100% ready. It's not 100% perfect. It's not 100% the right time. And, if you don't take that messy action, sometimes it just becomes like a self-sabotaging thing that you're just like, you never do it. And then, you haven't taken any action. So I really like that. So I wanted to go back, CJ, because I asked everybody else and I wanted to get, what is your advice? Because it really struck me what you said that like, how do you, in the face of kind of criticism, and because obviously like when somebody says something like that, we don't have what it takes or whatever, it's really hurtful. How do you, if you're somebody who doesn't have that support, how do you keep doing it anyway?
For me, it's been an evolution. It's been a process of really figuring out that I have something within inside me because I was created perfectly who I am. Like I don't have to try to be somebody else. I just have to go back to knowing that I'm here on purpose. He doesn't make mistakes. He made me exactly who I am, and he gave me a purpose that's not about me. It's a bigger than me that I don't even really know. And when I remember that it's not about me, then it's easy to continue on because it's my purpose to serve other people. Every single thing that I do, the cafe was to make amazing food, to have people come in, to have them have a great experience and love the food. In coaching, it's about serving other women and helping them to understand that they have something within inside them that they need to let out because they need to be the voice for the people that don't have the ability to have that voice yet. So it's just a matter of reminding myself that my purpose is so much bigger than me. And it's it's selfish if I keep that to myself because I've been given this gift. And if I just hold it inside and I don't do anything with it, then I'm doing disservice to the creator who created me on purpose with my purpose. And so that for me, that's what it all is. It's about always remembering every single day that I'm here on purpose and I have a purpose and I need to go forward with that purpose. No matter if I don't even know today what that purpose is, it's just, dig back deep and realize that it's going to come to you when you connect with it and you really lead from your heart, you lead from your soul and allow yourself to connect within that where you're supposed to be and where you're supposed to go. It comes to you every single day.
Wow, that is so powerful. Thank you for sharing a beautiful message. I love that because then if you think of it always as part of like a bigger purpose and a bigger picture, then it's almost like, I like the way you said it's selfish to kind of deny other people, access to that because you are doing something greater than you and bigger than all of us. I love that. Thank you. All right. Does anybody have any last things to add? Because then what I wanted to do is I wanted to quickly show you EFT tapping, which is a super good technique that just when you have those feelings of self-doubt or imposter syndrome or any of those feelings that kind of come up when you notice yourself feeling that way. And maybe you start to judge yourself and you're like, oh, why am I doing this? Like, I thought I could handle this, and now I don't feel that I can. Any of those kind of second guessing feelings that we all have. I mean, it comes up, and some days we're fine. And the other days we're just, we're tired and we're exhausted, and we start to maybe be, more judgmental of ourselves. So I wanted to do that, but does anybody else, does anybody else have any last tips for people who might have some of these issues with imposter syndrome?
No, but I'm excited to do EFT.
All right. Because what I'm going to do, I mean, obviously, like a normal session like that I do with clients is around an hour, but I'm going to give you the basic little recipe. Okay, so that you can do it yourself, because with EFT tapping, it stands for the emotional freedom technique, and it can be used in two main ways. The first one is to manage emotions. So if you're stressed, overwhelmed, angry, sad, unmotivated, something like that, you can use EFT to kind of tap yourself into a better place in 5 to 10 minutes, just to kind of calm down your nervous system, when it's all stimulated. And then the other one, which is really important, this is more long-term, is dealing with some of the beliefs that we have that cause like imposter syndrome and confidence issues. And a lot of times it's things, from our childhood. Maybe we tried to, get up in front of the class when we were 8 years old and show our painting, and the teacher said, a sailboat isn't purple, and, laughed at us. And then all the kids laugh at us. And so then we grow up thinking it's not safe to be seen. It's not safe to share my gifts to the world, and people are going to laugh at me or judge me, like those kind of things. And with that, it's kind of like an onion. So you have that core belief that you got, and then throughout your life, we kind of go around validating it. So that needs to be peeled back like an onion. So I'll just do a little quick round with you guys, and you can follow me. So what you do, first of all, to try to identify like the feeling, the emotion that's coming up. Where's the discomfort? Like, do you feel it in your body? Is it in your stomach? And let's take like, let's see, what should we do? What about if we do like, I can't handle it? Like something like that. That's just like very general. Usually the more specific that you do, the easier it works. But for the sake of this, we'll do, I can't handle it. Okay. So you're going to think in your head and be like, okay, what emotions are coming up? You can close your eyes and you can think of like, okay, maybe I'm frustrated. Maybe I'm irritated with myself. Maybe I'm even disappointed in myself. Maybe I'm sad. And you want to give that a number, an intensity between 0 and 10. 0 means it's totally fine, I don't care. And 10 means like, I am really, really feeling that I can't handle this, and I'm quite upset about it. Freaking out. All right, so you're going to open your eyes and then see which number. Sometimes I write it down just to make sure that I can remember. And then what you're going to do is you're going to tap along with me. So you can this is called the karate chop point. So I'm just going to give you a little recipe. So what we want to do first of all is we want to articulate some of the negative emotions first. Yep, it's just the side of the hand there. And it's not to kind of reinforce them. It's actually to give them a voice and articulate it so that we can start clearing it. So let's say I don't know, if you're a 7 or an 8 or something like that, once we kind of clear the negative emotions, you should be less. If it's still super intense, you need to do it again. But this is just the basic recipe, okay? So, and then once we've gotten the number down a bit, then we would do a positive round. I like to use affirmations because they're powerful. And once we've cleared the negative, then it feels more realistic. Because sometimes if we might feel overwhelmed or nervous or angry, and we say to ourselves, okay, I believe in myself. And then there's a negative voice that's like, you liar, you do not. And so that's what we want to clear the negative first. So let's just do a sample little round so you guys can see and follow along with me. So you would say, even though, repeat after me, even though I cannot handle this.
I cannot handle it.
I can't handle it.
I can't handle it.
And we go through the emotions. I feel frustrated.
I feel frustrated,
I feel upset with myself,
upset with myself,
feel angry,
angry,
feel disappointed in myself.
disappointed in myself.
And even though
And even though
I can't handle this,
I can't handle it,
I deeply and completely
I deeply and completely
love, honor, and accept myself.
love, honor, and accept myself.
Thank you, Andrea. Okay. Even though
Even though
I can't handle this,
I can't
I'm worried about what people think.
worry about what people think.
I'm comparing myself.
Hurry myself.
I'm afraid I'm going to mess it up.
I'm afraid I'm gonna mess it up.
And it feels really uncomfortable
I'm afraid you're uncomfortable.
because I'm really nervous.
Really nervous.
And I hate feeling like this.
That's why I'm so-
And even though I don't feel I can handle it,
Even though I don't feel like I can handle it,
I deeply and completely
I deeply and completely
love, honor, and forgive myself.
love, honor, and forgive myself
And all of these feelings.
and all of these feelings.
Okay, so that's the setup round. Now we're going to go into all the emotions. I want you to get it all out, but we're going to be quick for this one. So like, can't handle this between the eyebrows.
And
Side of the eye. I can't handle this
I can't handle it.
below the eye. This is just too much. This is just too much.
Can't see her.
Andrea's my echo. Below the nose. I can't do this.
Can't do
Below the chin. I feel so stressed about it.
it.
And then on the chest, just anywhere like this. I feel super overwhelmed.
Super.
Underneath the arm. It's kind of like where a bra strap would be. I feel so worried about this. Who's repeating? Andrea, you're repeating. I feel really
So
worried about this.
this. Gonna get arrested.
On the top of the head is the crown. Okay. I feel really worried.
Really worried.
Between the eyes, I feel super stressed. Super stressed. Super anxious.
Super anxious.
Worried I can't handle this.
I can't handle it.
Worried I can't handle this.
I can't handle it.
Worried I might mess it up. What if I mess it up?
What if I mess it up?
And then you can go through all the what ifs. This is really good because these are the things that like stick out in your head in the middle of the night. You're like, you know, what if I can't do this job?
No, can't do this job.
What if everybody laughs at me?
I think they want to.
What if I don't do it right?
I don't do that.
What if everybody finds out I'm not sure what I'm doing?
What if everybody finds out I'm not sure what I'm doing?
I'm really nervous about this.
I'm very nervous about it.
I don't feel I can handle it.
I don't feel like I can handle it.
I'm really stressed about this.
Really stressed about it.
I'm really stressed about this.
Really stressed about it.
Okay. So what we're going to do, you're take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And that's the negative round. And so normally you would check in with yourself and see like, okay, did the number go up? Did it go down? And then if it's still like pretty high and you don't feel that you've calmed down, then you would do another round, kind of articulating your feelings. And then we can do the positive round, which I like the best because it makes you feel really good. So you can start at this will be a quick one, but it'll feel good. Okay, side of the hand again. So even though a part of me still feels
a part of me still feels
that I can't handle it.
that I can't handle it.
A part of me is still worried about it.
Part of me is still worried about it.
Worried I can't handle it.
Worried I can't handle it.
I choose to release some of my fears.
I choose to release some of my fears.
I choose to release some of my anxieties,
I choose to release some of my anxieties,
and I'm open to changing this feeling.
and I'm open to changing this feeling.
Okay. You go like, I'm open to releasing some of this anxiety.
I'm open to releasing some of this anxiety.
I'm open to releasing all this
Thanks.
overthinking.
I'm open to releasing all of this overthinking.
I'm open to the idea that maybe I could handle this.
I'm open to the idea that maybe I could handle this.
I'm open to the idea that maybe I really can handle this.
I'm open to the idea maybe I really can handle it.
I don't have to be perfect.
I don't have to be perfect.
Nobody's perfect,
Nobody's perfect.
but I'm doing a really good job.
I'm doing a really good job.
And I'm really proud of myself
And I'm really proud of myself
because I've achieved a lot of things in my life.
because I've achieved a lot of things in my own life.
And I've overcome a lot of things.
And I've overcome a lot of things.
And I'm always learning and growing.
And I'm always learning and growing.
And I know more than I did last year.
And I know more than I did last year,
I know more than even a month ago.
than even a month ago.
And just think about what I'm going to know 6 months from now.
And just think about what I'm going to know 6 months from now.
So I choose to be compassionate with myself.
So I choose to be compassionate with myself.
I choose to be really supportive of myself
I choose to be really supportive of myself
because I'm doing an awesome job.
because I'm doing an awesome job.
And I'm really smart.
And I'm really smart.
And I'm really resourceful.
And I'm really resourceful.
And I'm always learning new skills.
And I'm always learning new skills.
And that feels great.
And that feels great.
I am rocking it.
I am rocking.
I am doing so much better than I think.
I am doing so much better than I think.
I need to be more supportive of myself.
I need to be more supportive of myself.
I don't have to figure it all out today,
I don't have to figure it all out today,
but I'm open to all sorts of new ideas.
but I'm open to all sorts of new ideas.
And I'm open to learning all sorts of new things.
And I'm open to learning all sorts of new things.
And I'm on my way.
And I'm on my way.
So I think I can handle it.
So I think I can handle it.
I don't have to have it all figured out,
I don't have to have it all figured out,
but I'm taking new steps every day.
but I'm taking new steps every day.
And that feels really good.
And that feels really good.
So I can handle this.
So I can handle this.
I've handled change before,
I've handled change before,
and I can handle change now
and I can handle change now
because I'm only getting better than better.
because I'm only getting better and better.
I'm only getting better than I was before.
I'm only getting better than I was before.
So I choose to acknowledge and appreciate myself.
So I choose to acknowledge and appreciate myself.
And I choose to love and accept myself.
And I choose to love and accept myself.
Okay, you can go on to these little knuckles here on the side. Just tap there. I choose to love and accept myself.
I choose to love and accept myself.
And I choose to be patient with myself.
I choose to be patient with myself.
I choose to be kind and supportive of myself.
I choose to be kind and supportive of myself
Because I can handle it.
because I can handle it.
I can definitely handle this.
I can definitely handle it
'Cause I'm always learning and growing.
because I'm always learning and growing.
And I'm always changing for the better.
And I'm always changing for the better.
And I deeply and completely
And I deeply and completely
love, honor, and accept myself.
love, honor, and accept myself.
Good. Okay, breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. One big breath.
Well, I feel better.
How do you guys feel?
I feel
Oh,
much better.
awesome.
I feel very
Awesome.
relaxed.
Let's do this.
Exactly. It's like, yeah. So anyway, that's a very, very short, little compacted session, but just so you guys see how it works. But it is really powerful, even if like, you're on the bus or something like that, and you've got like I don't know, like an interview or something like that, and you just need to like, okay, just, I got this, just doing 5 or 10 minutes of that. I mean, I do it on the subway sometimes. It's, but you can do it just on your knuckle points, so that if you're on the bus or like in traffic, you're not like,
That's very common here in New York. I'll fit right in.
Yeah, in New York, they won't even notice.
Nobody will even care.
Bunch of crazy people.
Yeah, in New York, I don't think that it's like anything that they haven't seen. They've seen everything there. So it looks like we lost
guy
Yana.
walking around in Wonder Man underwears.
Well, does anybody have any last comments they'd like to make for our little closing of the roundtable here?
I just would love to say that nobody's in this alone. So many people that go through anything, any change, or like imposter syndrome, or stepping out of your comfort zone, or any of that thing, they have this concept that it's just them, that they're the only ones feeling that. And we all go through these feelings. And because we don't share about it like this openly, we're left feeling like we're alone, and we're not alone. Nobody's alone. And the more normalized that we begin to make these conversations, that the easier it will be for people just to step out and accept, who they are and where they're going. Because God don't make no jump, right, CJ?
Exactly.
Yes.
Love
Amen.
And I think for me, the thing that I want to say is that always being in gratitude for all these things that come up. We often look at imposter syndrome or being stepping out of your comfort zone as a negative or a bad thing, but being in gratitude for what that's bringing light to you, that you need something different, or you want something different, or you want or desire change, and really flipping that switch to being in gratitude for it, instead of seeing it as a negative, and being grateful for what it's bringing up and where it's going to take you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. Not seeing it as a negative thing, but seeing something that's part of the change, part of the evolution, part of the new things that are coming in as well. Anybody else? Ashley, do you have anything last minute words?
No, just, take that one action a day. We all have those fears again, too. It could be the $3 million net worth coach too. There's always something, each level, like we've mentioned, each level you go to, there's always something there, but keep taking that action step. You have one life to live, right? And there's that saying by Les Brown, and I don't know the exact same words he used, but the biggest place where all your dreams or something, I hope someone knows what I'm talking about here, is basically in the cemetery. So I don't want to make it like off like weird, whatever, but it's basically just going after your dreams, taking that action to one little small thing at a time. And that fear is just pushed to the side, and sometimes used to push you to go forward, but that's it.
And what kind of advice in terms of the one action per day? Like, what does that look like for most people when you recommend that? Oh,
I'm muted there. Sorry. So it depends. So for me, for example, like if I'm posting on social media, if I'm doing interviews, if I'm doing lives or going into my stories, I'm connecting with people, but I know that I should be connecting with more people. So I just write that action goal step plan, like which groups I'm going to be showing up in more, or just putting myself more out there. If I have to be more visible, what can I do that's more visible? And it's usually and that's actually I'm doing for myself now too. I'm going to start doing, I'm putting myself out here. Is being more visible, like doing more lives, being more present in stories, right? So giving yourself like even like a 30 days, like whatever it is that you feel that you think can be that one action step. Give yourself like a 30-day. They say it takes 21 days to break a bad habit, but I guess each person's different. But do that.
That's awesome advice. I love that. One change, and it changes everything. All right. Well, thank you so much, ladies. I really appreciate all of this awesome discussion and all of these tips. And I hope that, I know that they'll be very useful for everybody else who, worries about their own imposter syndrome and is looking for some ways to overcome it or manage it better. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you
Bye,
so
everyone.
much.
It was great. Great.
Bye.
Bye,
Talk to you
everyone.
later.